Okay, now we're going to look at a new site which just been updated on Chiquihuite Cave. It's an Upper Paleolithic archaeological site, meaning it actually dates between 50,000 BC and 12,000 years ago into the last ice age, pretty much coinciding with the coming of Cro-Magnon man. It's found in the Astillero Mountains in Zacotecas state in northern central Mexico. You can see it here where it shows it's pinned where the mountains are there. In fact, it's located at 9,000 feet above sea level and about a kilometer higher than the valley that's just below it. The artifacts discovered here have been dated to 26,000 years before present, based on more than 50 samples of animal bone, charcoal bone, found in association with the tools that were found. Excavations started here in 2012 when a test pit unearthed the unusual stone artifacts. Further excavations were carried out in 2016 and 2017 under the leadership of Cyprian Ardelian of the Autonomous University of Zacatecas. The archaeologists discovered about 2,000 stone tools used for cutting and chopping. 239 of these were embedded in layers of gravel that had been dated to 25 to 32,000 years ago through carbon dating. These items were at a depth of up to 3 meters in the soil sediment that's down at the bottom of the cave. We'll take a picture of it, or a look at it here shortly. Other than the stone tools, relatively little evidence of human presence was found there, although archaeologists believe that the site was visited only occasionally by bands of hunter-gatherers. Perhaps it was used as a refuge during particularly severe weather, like winters coming through and so on. We are definitely talking about in the last ice age. And evidence indicates that the cave was actually in use for about a 16,000 year period, going from about 30,000 BC to about 15,000 and coming into the Younger Dryas time, and then was no longer used. DNA from a wide range of animals was found in the cave, including black bears, rodents, bats, voles, and even kangaroo rats. According to the scientists involved in this research, recent investigations have uncovered good evidence of a human presence during the late Pleistocene and even early Holocene epochs in other parts of Mexico. They refer to the northwest region of Mexico, or the Chiapas highlands of central Mexico, and on the Caribbean coast. They also suggest that this new research pushes back dates for human dispersal in the region possibly as early as 33 to 31,000 years ago. So we're breaking 30,000 BC. Currently, there's only one other site known as Bluefish Caves in the Yukon, Canada, that has yielded dates similar to Chiquihuite. I would say that's the incorrect statement out of this whole thing. For, well, maybe it's not as old, but just last year we did one on a few sites, in a canyon site that was showing 16 to 18,000 BC. Just down from me here in Galt, Texas, they found occupation and Solutrean type blade work and things that are going back 16, 18,000 BC. But about 3 years ago, I showed a video where I did one on Calico dig site, which is in Southern California, where they filmed some of the Star Wars stuff, like whenever they're in the desert planet. And it shows human occupation up to 200,000 BC. Yeah, they dug a test pit, and whenever they did, it was kind of in a mound. And when they dug down through the test pit, they could not find the bottom of the reach of artifacts that were shown there. The test pit that they did end up with is over 70 feet deep. And from what I understand from the video I made there, they're continuing to dig deeper and deeper. But they fear that this whole thing might collapse in on itself. You know, it's literally just a shaft that they've built, but in that shaft, they're showing pieces of artifacts all the way down. Strangeness is, when they get down to the bottom and they're talking about it, and he goes, okay, so what are you talking about? And there's all these black stones out of the wall that's all been chipped and worked on and stuff. And he goes, okay, so where are we at here? Are we at 200,000 years ago? And he goes, yes, we're at 200,000 years ago. It's kind of amazing finding out things like that, but it just makes sense. If they could have done it once, they could have done it before. And again, this was a wiki page that was last edited here on January 4th of 2021, so just a few days prior to me having put this out. We'll look at the bluefish cave ones here shortly, but I also want to show you something for whenever we take a look at pictures and images of this. Let's just go to straight images here. And this is an image of being deep in the cave and the sunlight cutting through. Kind of cool looking, a little hard to detect, but up there in that shadow right up in here, you can see the size of those people and how gigantic this cave actually is. For you're not even looking around back behind you. They call it the oldest hotel in the world for some reason. Here's another decent picture of an area going back, and you can see the people walking around on it there too. And whenever they're digging down through the soil level that was in the actual cave itself, you can kind of see that there's a perimeter line that's here that they started working for before they found things. And then in working their way down through the soil and eventually that way, all of these artifacts that are being found. And what have they found? Well, there's animal bones and things like that that are all associating with having been fractured and used in tools. Here's another point of the cave here. Look how it's got that corbelled ceiling kind of somewhat, but it's natural a bit. But it leads way up too. One wonders if you would see anything if you went up there, if anybody could have gone other than bat guano. But it also leads back through this cave network there. And so what were they able to see that showed them that there had actually been occupation? Well, there's this. If found anywhere else in the world, this would have been known like a Lavalas or Masterian type toolkit that these people are fracturing blades out of and using them. And most of these look like they're discards or haven't been finished. And that's probably what you would expect them to leave versus the ones they took with them. They, due to conquesting animals and so on, probably never made it back again. There's scrapers and all kinds of different points and blades here, and conspicuously a lot of them, like in this row that we're looking at here, look very much like arrowheads that have been just not finished. Could have been something that they were keeping as a bulk for whenever needed. And make no bones about it, this is a giant cave. And there's red ochre blotching all over the place. One wonders if you crawled around and looked up in there if you would find any places of those handprints and things like that that we see, but there isn't anything associated with that at this point. Here's another look at that dig and how they're going down through that layer that hopefully you can make it out here, that they have this layer that was right here that they started from going down through time. They're at the point now where they're reaching bedrock in places, I believe, which that leads them to believe that perhaps they're reaching the end of their dig, but of course there are sockets and places in there, and it could go back much deeper than that. So again, here we are looking at this site that actually is in a drug cartel area, and they had to actually have armed people with them and take them back and forth to the site constantly. You can see these palm type trees growing here, but also in the distance down in the valley, which is real flat, fertile, and has a city located with it and so on. But this cave that was known up here, just on a whim, kind of they went through the trouble of going all the way up here in this cave and then doing a little test dig. And the test dig showed surprising results, so they continued. And in continuing on, they found that it went back breaking 30,000 years BC. And again, this is in central Mexico of America. It's not people eking in somehow off of Alaska. And this changes everything again. But long ago, so many sites predate the possibility of a land bridge that formed just during that certain point of time. So now we are probably well aware that it went on before that. Well, how much before? Well, here's 30,000 years old. But like I said, they found tools that look just like those, dating back 70 foot deep in a cave in Calico, that shows humans cracking rocks to make these type of things, because there aren't any other creatures that could have done it at 200,000 BC. We'll get on to the next one here. I just thought I'd share it with you. It's a little small article because they don't have all the information and enough papers out about it. I saw about 15 articles from different places, and they all seem to be using the same information, which is in Wiki now. People try to discredit Wiki somehow, but down at the bottom there, it shows you all of their stuff it goes with and the major papers they all work off of and things. Yeah, people try to discredit Wiki, but it's actually been built to not be of such. It's not an online encyclopedia. People can't just come in and edit and say, ooh, and change numbers and stuff like people try to think in their mind. Like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy, and we'll get on to our next one. Isn't that a beautiful scene? Peace.